What does 69 feel like?
In this world, cesspool of kindness and ethical blindness. So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Piss-Drunk fraternity guy, you got my ass full of bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to the side to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, was so impressed. Lots of chicks and a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planets. Oh, I just can't understand it. Conquered divine by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, Sherlock! I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, Sherlock! Read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finish Mr. Whitebeater, you're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you'll probably kill her before she gets away from you. Screws in a pool of blood and cry. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you like cats ready to go. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Tom Bone's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The polygammatic, conquered a body by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, Sherlock! I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, Sherlock! Read into the lyrics, so let the flaggies will quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Plex. We usually do this show on Sundays at 7 p.m. Pacific right here on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. Obviously, it is Monday. So, it was Father's Day, so I went and hung out with the fam last night. You can support this project and help me buy things like Father's Day gifts by going to patreon.com/Echoplex or eplex.store. If you sign up at the $5 level or higher, you get the entire broadcast of the Plex and down ballot, including the red light portions, plus early access to other projects, which I haven't even really been working on the way that I should be, but it's whatever. If you're watching live on Twitch, you know how the monetization system works around here. I'm producer Dave. You can find me on, I'll go with Blue Sky at Plex-Dave, trying to figure out what's wrong with all those people. And this is what the people want.
I don't hate the cops.
And there's a person inside when the truncheon stops. Oh, donate the cops. Oh, when the raiders come, who will protect the shops? Donate the cops. They're a sensitive bunch. If you don't stop throwing your rocks, snap, crackle, pop is the sound of a taser. Your body drops. Donate the cops. Oh, donate the cops. Donate the cops. Oh, donate the cops. Like your local police. Cause they don't do nothing wrong like your local police. Got rid of the corruption and the racism is gone. They've been keeping the peace, keeping homeless folks out of the parks and malls. Got a cure for your social disease. Follow the law, don't hate the cops. 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 Put your hands above your head and show you're not afraid. I'm the fearless judge that your skin color's gonna get. And if you die before the sun comes up, the paperwork will take forever. Well, it might have worked out a little bit better if you didn't hate the cops. Cause they don't do nothing wrong, don't hate the cops. You can't blame them for just doing their job, don't hate the cops. Well, you gotta wonder, how much would it cost for you to be shot at and stabbed at by maniacs and drunks? Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops.
All right, so we're going to start out with some more news about the UFC event. Apparently, there was a plot to blow up drones or something at the UFC event. I don't know. Here's a Fox News segment on it. Of course, this is from Fox and Friends and Friends and Friends and Friends.
This breaking news just into the Fox newsroom. The FBI disrupting this alleged plot targeting the UFC Freedom 250 event at the White House. Officials telling Fox a network of nearly 24 potential plotters were identified, with at least 5 people in custody right now. The suspects allegedly traveled to Fredericksburg, Virginia to make final preparations for the attack. And the alleged plan allegedly included explosive-packed drones hitting buildings near the event, forcing a mass evacuation, and then steering crowds, get this, toward a pre-staged sniper team. A second wave was then planned to storm the White House gate. The FBI first learned of the threat on June 10th and worked with law enforcement across multiple states to stop it. FBI Director Kash Patel saying, quote, "We are built to detect, respond to, and bring to justice those who threaten the lives of American citizens, particularly during large gatherings like the historic UFC 250 fight." That's exactly what we did here. Over 4,300 people were in attendance for UFC 250, which included 1,200 service members. Luckily, nobody was harmed during the FBI's takedown. The event went off without a hitch.
So I could fucking kind of buy it up until the point where, like, well, okay, so the part where we're going to make everybody go somewhere specific where there's going to be snipers. Okay, so first of all, if an event like this, if this event were to be evacuated, how the fuck would you know where they're sending people? You wouldn't know that. So, so that's a problem, right? Like, where are the this is like an episode of Burn Notice, but not as well written. So how would you know where the people would be sent if they were told to leave? I would assume that if they were told to leave, they would just be told to leave. Right? They wouldn't be like, okay, you have to leave, but also you have to go specifically like right here. Right here. So, and then who the fuck was going to storm the White House gates? Like, where are all these people? Like, how many people like storm the White House? What are hundreds of people, thousands of people? Like, I don't know. This is fucked up because like, I don't think this is true. Like, I'm not saying that nobody would plan anything like this or whatever. I'm just saying that I don't think this is true. The way that this is described it doesn't make any sense. Like, I was like, okay, maybe you found people who had like, okay, so I don't think we're going to hear anything about this ever again. That's my guess. My guess is we're never going to hear about this again. I don't think we're going to hear about this again, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe this is real. But the problem here is that Kash Patel is the fucking person giving us the information, and he's wrong all the time. Like, he's wrong all the time. Like, holy shit, man. So here's some more on this. I don't know if you guys knew this. This is as unbelievable as this story sounds. This is Joe Biden's fault.
Here. First, let's start with the positive, and that is thank you to President Trump for making sure that we can celebrate America's 250. Celebrate what makes this country so great. There at the UFC fight, they showcased our military men and women from all branches of our military, saying thank you for your sacrifice, thank you for your service. It was a wonderful night, and it was fun to be a part of. Now, when you're looking at what's happening right now, do not let the Biden administration off the hook. Joe Biden was reckless as president, allowing our borders to be open, allowing people to flood in. We know how many people that were known terrorists that they allowed in into our country. We know the capabilities of those individuals. It was absolutely a dereliction of duty. Now we're dealing with cleaning that up, and then adding to that, we are dealing with what Democrats are doing with their rhetoric, the way that they are talking, calling for war, saying that we would be better without these individuals, leaning into what divides us instead of the things that we can be brought together. Their Trump derangement syndrome has gotten the best of them. And
this is all fucking so crazy. I'm telling you, we're never going to hear another fucking word about this. I mean, the people who supposedly planned this, they came across the border or they didn't? What do you mean terrorists? Do they mean, when they say terrorists, right, they mean people from Arab people, Muslim people generally. Like, I don't know. I'd say I'm going to keep an eye on this, but I think we're not going to be able to. I think you're never going to hear a fucking word about this again. And if these people are like put on trial, I want to see anybody prove that they were planning to storm the White House. Jesus Christ. So we're going to move on to coverage of the Iran deal. Here is Fox's The Five. This clip is, I believe, before the deal was signed or whatever. The MOA, the Memorandum of MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding or whatever. This is from The Five, one of the best shows on TV, really. This lady Jessica Tarlov has to try to talk to crazy people.
So it only seemed natural that he would do it his way in a different way and see what works. Is there anything that Jesse said that you would disagree with?
Listen, if what Jesse said is about to happen, praise be, right? That sounds absolutely fantastic. But Jesse has clearly been briefed more than like Lindsey Graham, for instance, who's pretty close to the president.
He's been debriefed.
Funny. Lindsey Graham coming out yesterday and posting that he's concerned about the difference in opinion between what we say is in the deal and what the Iranians are saying, and then shifting the blame onto J.D. Vance, which is quite strategic, where he said, this will be a huge feather in J.D. Vance's cap. If it's him, means I want to give Donald Trump a break if this is bad, right? If this is worse than the JCPOA, I can't go after dear leader about this, so I'm going to put it on J.D. Vance. Not releasing any of the text is a choice since they have digitally signed it. So not quite an auto pen, but the thing is done. So you should have put it out there for people, especially for your supporters, because he has had a lot of people on his side who are saying this had to happen for 47 years. They've been a huge threat. And I think that it is also meaningful that just a couple hours ago, Netanyahu was giving a press conference where he said, I haven't been able to see it. So the country that we went into the war with hasn't seen it, but they've allowed the Iranians to sign onto it. And he said that we're not complying. We're going to do what we need to do, which means that they could blow up the deal, because from our perspective and the Iranian perspective, they want Israel to stop hitting Lebanon. Again, if what Jesse says is going to happen, happens, fantastic news. But from what it looks like, that this is just an MOU that gives them up to 60 days to deal with the tough stuff. It doesn't look like that's what is going to happen. So the tough stuff on on nuclear and also on the opening of the Strait of Hormuz without the tolling, if you watch J.D. Vance this morning on both CBS and CNBC, that isn't ironclad, that there won't be tolls when it reopens. The deal is similar to the JCPOA, seemingly, but not in this important aspect, which is we had other countries that signed on to the JCPOA. So this is a one-way or a two-way agreement between the U.S. and Iran. JCPOA, you say how great that the Gulf states are involved in this. JCPOA was all of Europe, the Chinese, and the Russians were signed on to it. Right now, we don't have any friends going into this deal together.
Of course they would sign on to it.
What?
Of course they would sign on to it, because it wasn't America first.
Okay. And the money really matters.
We got to
go. I've spoken less than everybody else. Let me finish.
Compared to who?
Everybody else on the panel except maybe
combined?
Dana.
You mean combined? That's a little weird. We all have our little time frames.
She's like, I don't know, let me finish. He's like, why? Dude, this deal, from what we know about it, is just like a watered down version of this JCPOA. And like fucking Jessica Tarlov, I imagine my politics are to the left of hers or whatever, but she's like trying to talk sense to crazy people. And like, yeah, other countries signed on to it. I don't know if that deal was good or bad or whatever, but I know that, like, what I know is Iran, not a great country. They don't treat their people super well over there, but they were over there minding their own fucking business, right? Like, I don't even know what we were doing in the first place, why there was an agreement necessary, why we bombed them. Was it just that Trump doesn't like them? Like, I don't know. Did Obama have an agreement with them, and that's why Trump decided he wanted to do this? How much influence did the Israelis have on this? I think that a lot of maybe liberals and lefties are kind of oversampling for that. But it's not like they didn't have any influence on it. Like, was Benjamin Netanyahu going to start bombing them or bombing somebody? And then Trump was like, not without America, you're not going to bomb somebody. That sounds maybe like what happened. But who knows? And this is all really dumb, because none of this was necessary, because there was no reason for any of this to fucking happen in the first place. Here's Mike Pence, one of the world's biggest ghouls. I'm glad they didn't hang Mike Pence at the fucking J6 or whatever. Like, I just wish he never would have been the vice president or never would have had any power. But here's him on CNN talking about this supposed deal.
What do you think of this plan based on what you've heard so far and what you heard from the vice president?
Well, first, I think you have to recognize that President Trump's decision to unleash our armed forces against the leading state sponsor of terrorism a year ago and then earlier this year was historic and unprecedented. And I think the president and the administration have earned some latitude in putting together a negotiated peace. But I have concerns. Look, I hope for the best. I certainly welcome the cessation of hostilities, but I just don't trust the Iranians. And literally for 47 years, this has been a regime that has breathed death to Israel, death to America. And as you observed, while we welcome reports about the MOU that there's a commitment to not pursue nuclear weapons, a commitment to open the straits, that was never all of it. And one of the defects of the Obama administration was the lack of a structure for seriously dismantling and verifiably preventing Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. And there was no mention in the Obama-Iran deal of Iran dismantling their missile program or ending decades of supporting terrorist proxies like Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis.
So this whole death to America thing and death to Israel, I don't know, man. If you lived in Iran, you probably wouldn't be a big fan of the United States based on, I don't know, the post-war behavior of the United States and like what we call the West vis-a-vis Iran. Like they were more or less denied self-determination for a very long time by the United States and our allies. So I could imagine the average Iranian not really liking the United States. This idea that like during when the people were protesting the regime, that they were like, that those people wanted America to come in was absurd, right? They absolutely, now we fucked that up. Actually, there was a whole lot of like anti-regime sentiment in Iran. And then we were like, no, let's start bombing them. Oh, fuck. Well, where'd the protests go? The people don't seem to be protesting the regime anymore. Wait a minute, man. There's some people that are like, oh, well, the CIA started the protests. And I don't buy that. I'm not saying the CIA fucking didn't have anything to do with it or weren't interested in that. But I'm just saying that like they didn't make the protests. But now there are no fucking protests because, well, now all those people in Iran are like, oh, these motherfuckers are bombing again. And so now they're mad at us because of course they are. Or they like are madder at us, or they're back to their normal state which is like a rational thing to be mad at America. Like, I don't know. People don't want to believe this, but the people in Iran, they're just us, but over there, man. And if somebody's bombing your country, even if you don't like the people that run your country, what you really don't like are the bombs because they're falling on people you do like. And so this is all fucked up. There might have been, I don't know what the odds of like major reform due to the protests were, but there was some chance that could have happened. Not a big chance, I don't think, but now that we've bombed them and all the fucking people there are like, oh, wait a minute. The real problem is America. Well, now you know what? Now there's no protests. And so here we are again. So here's Sean Hannity and JD Vance wish casting before the agreement was signed. The agreement, which to my knowledge still hasn't been made public. But don't worry, here's Hannity and Vance. They have some thoughts on what they're writing some fanfic about it, I guess.
Let's talk about any place, anywhere, anytime U.S. inspectors. That's that part of the deal?
Yeah, that's absolutely something that we are negotiating over, Sean. That's one of the final details that's going to be figured out here. Is if you
they're not going to agree to that. Nah, they're not going to agree to that. After us and the Israelis fucking used Stuxnet to sabotage one of their facilities, putting the lives of people in danger, and I mean, no. After their fucking scientists were they're not like, oh, come on over. No, they're not doing that.
Original Obama JCPOA, there were a couple of big problems with it. Number one, by the way, is that the Gulf Arabs hated the Obama deal. Why? Because they thought that it empowered the Iranians to be a malign actor. It actually enriched the Iranians while they were misbehaving. This deal, the Gulf Arabs love, because they know that this is the kind of deal that can fundamentally transform the Middle East. Another problem with that deal is that the inspections regime was effectively non-existent. There was a little bit there, but it was basically non-existent. This goes back to our fundamental principle here, that if they show verifiable commitment, and that means a real inspections regime, then they can get the benefits of the bargain.
Yo, dude, we haven't heard shit from the leaders of the Gulf states about this. I don't know, man. And from what I understand, this is before the deal happened. This was all wish casting. Here's more of JD Vance, this time on the 5, wish casting about the deal. And of course, Jessica Tarlov, the only fucking reasonable person, the only person who thinks for themselves or thinks at all on the 5, is like not having it. She's, I hope she's getting paid well over there. Good Lord.
You know, there's been leaked versions of this MOU, not just in the Iranian press, in the Saudi press, the Pakistani press. The American press has gotten their hands on some details as well. You know, the Wall Street Journal has it that Iran can immediately sell oil and that they're going to get some sanctions relief right off the bat. That was something that we heard was not going to happen. So they have an incentive to get this going by Friday, and there's going to be money changing hands. In the copies of the MOU that we've seen, again, leaked, we have this $300 billion fund. And I saw you last night, you were with Sean talking about it. He said, well, it's not our money. It's, you know, Gulf nation money, our partners' money, but that's still a $300 billion payday. And that's something that they desperately want to have. The punting on the nuclear program for the 60-day negotiation, you know, that's the real tough stuff of this, right? Like, that's the meat of what we really need to get done. And you say the JCPOA, you know, didn't have anything about that. It's in the preamble of the JCPOA that Iran will cease all efforts to have a nuclear weapon and enrichment will be held at about 3%.
Well, they can't enrich now because they can't get the dust, Jessica.
Also,
Barack Obama never buried it.
Well, the vice president is here. Don't interrupt me, and then it'll be over really fast.
Okay. I wasn't interrupting him. I was interrupting you.
I meant me. Be polite for our guest.
Okay, I'll try my best.
And, you know, people who are disappointed with this deal, and it's not just Democrats, it's the whole spectrum of Republicans from, you know, MAGA America First Republicans to traditional neocon Republicans who are concerned that it doesn't actually get rid of this ballistic missile program, the proxy forces, the regime change, which were the initial promises of this war. And I think also that big Axios report last night was meaningful, where they said that CIA Director Ratcliffe, Rubio, and Hegseth, based on American intelligence, were doubting the kind of results they thought we could get out of this deal.
Yeah, so Jessica, let me address a couple of things, because I think you're making the same mistake, unfortunately, that a lot of the Iranian propagandists make when they talk about this,
like
which
the
is
Wall Street Journal?
They talk about the benefits to the Iranians without any of the things the Iranians would have to give up and have to change in order to get those benefits. So you mentioned a $300 billion fund. I got to be very clear about this. Not a single cent of American money under any circumstance, no matter what the Iranians do, goes to Iran. Not a single cent of American money.
But they get other money.
Here's what this says. This says, for example, let's say that the United Arab Emirates, who have been a great ally, let's say they want to invest in a power plant in Iran. What this deal provides is that if the Iranians have done everything we require them to do, then we will allow the United Arab Emirates to do that, because they can't do that right now without American approval. So we're fundamentally saying if the Iranians transform how they interact with the world, we will transform how the world economy interacts with Iran. But if they don't do any of that stuff, they don't get any of these benefits. So I think...
This is all so fucking stupid, dude. They're also sending JD Vance out there because everybody knows what this is. Everybody knows what this is, right? So Donald Trump ain't out there talking about it. JD Vance is out there as like the fucking sacrificial lamb, because Donald Trump fucked this whole thing up and he doesn't want to fucking talk about it. So they got JD Vance out there. Now, this is pretty weird. Here's the Island of Misfit Anchors, News Nation. They also aren't really, they're not really into this either, which is, when you've lost the Island of Misfit Anchors, you done fucked up.
It's total capitulation. Everybody knows it. Every Republican defending this knows that if a Democrat had signed a document like this, they would be out there blasting them to kingdom come. President Trump had one job, and it was not to sign a deal that could credibly be said to be the equivalent of the JCPOA. And now he has signed a memorandum of understanding that is very clearly and obviously worse than the JCPOA. It has nothing in there about verification. It states, Katie, that they will not charge tolls on the Strait of Hormuz for 60 days, meaning it has occurred to the Iranian regime now for the first time that they can get away with doing that because we just showed them that they can bring the greatest superpower to ever exist on planet Earth to its knees with a few mines. This is just an utter disaster. Every word the president said today was a complete reversal of his own positions 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 4 months ago. He made Secretary of State Marco Rubio look like a fool because he made the argument you just made, Katie, that the ballistic missile program was a protective shield around the nuclear program.
Is he putting JD out there for a purpose other than trying to sell this to the American people? You wrote an interesting column about this week.
Yes, I wrote a Substack about this in which I argued that J.D. Vance is getting border czarred. Basically, you know, when Joe Biden realized that the open border was a problem, he handed the most important brief that he had no intention of solving to Kamala Harris, and it hung around her neck like an albatross and basically tanked her presidential run, among other reasons, of course. And it feels a little...
It wasn't the border that tanked Harris. It was the whole thing tanked Harris's run. The whole thing was shut the fuck up. It wasn't about the border. The people that gave a fuck about the border weren't voting for Kamala Harris or any Democrat anyway.
J.D. Vance is
people are so stupid.
He was the only administration member out there defending this all week long, not doing a wonderful job, I have to say, doing a lot of gaslighting, calling what turned out to be the actual MOU Iranian propaganda to our faces. And it just seemed like every time he opened his mouth, it got worse and worse and worse. The one defense I keep hearing from people on the right is, well, if they break the MOU, if they break the terms of this, we can go right back to bombing them. They are not going to break these terms. This is their wish list. They made out like bandits, and they know it. They are never going to break these terms because they have no need to.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that also that like Donald Trump isn't going to decide to start bombing them in 60 days anyway. Like, this is so fucking stupid. Like, I don't know. Donald Trump can be like, I don't know, it's not even my treaty. It's J.D. Vance's treaty. Bombs away. I know none of this means anything. Like, but it's so crazy that he has lost News Nation, the Alien Channel. He lost the Alien Channel. Oh, here we go. Here's Tiny Dancer Ben Shapiro appearing on Fox News because I guess nobody watches the fucking Daily Wire anymore. And here's a little Ben throwing JD Vance under the bus. Oh man, fucking I do not feel sorry for the wholly owned subsidiary of Peter Thiel, JD Vance, but boy, howdy did he get fucked over in this. And I kind of love that for him. This is what Donald Trump has been doing to the Republicans the whole time, right? Like, since he started running in 2016, the best part of the 2016 election was watching Donald Trump dunk on Republicans during the debates. And now he's fucking doing it to his own administration. And here's Tiny Dancer Ben being like, oh, well, the president, because Tiny Dancer Ben can't fucking go against the president right now for any reason because he's got his own problems over there at the Daily Wire. Fucking Jeremy Boring spent all their money trying to turn it into Disney. And so they got some problems over there. And so, I don't know, he's got to hang on to the president for dear life, I guess.
Say there, Ben.
Well, I've said many times, the president deciding to go into Iran and to hit nuclear facilities in Operation Midnight Hammer, and then to go after Iran's ballistic missile facilities and nuclear facilities, Army, Navy, and Air Force in this current operation was the signal act of political bravery, perhaps, of my lifetime. With that said, this MOU appears to be, just from the text, a disaster that does not achieve any of the actual signal goals that were set by the administration at the beginning. There were effectively 5 goals that were set by the administration at the beginning. One was ending the nuclear program, not just nuclear weapons, no nuclear enrichment, zero enrichment. That is not in the deal. Ballistic missiles ended. That is not in the deal. And the president today suggested that ballistic missiles should actually continue to be held by the Iranians because the Saudis, our allies, also hold ballistic missiles. Then you have the support of terrorism. That is not part of the deal. Anything that looks like an attempt to end terrorism. A permanent opening of the Strait of Hormuz toll-free. Not only is that not in the deal appears to have a provision allowing Iran and Oman to attempt to toll the strait after 60 days. And then finally, the idea that Iran would receive some sort of sanctions relief after all of those things happen. We are already seeing from day one relief in their ability to ship oil out of Iran. In my opinion, the Vice President of the United States, the chief negotiator on this particular project, has not well served the president.
I fucking love. No, dude. I mean, I know the shit rolls downhill, but like the vice president isn't supposed to be that far down the hill where all the shit lands. Like, if the shit only rolls downhill to the vice president, it's still all over the president. Like, this is great. This is so fucking funny because all these people like Ben Shapiro, and the sort of right wing podcastosphere, they loved JD Vance, right? He was their guy. He was like the podcast vice president. He's the reason that the podcastosphere like had such an influence on the campaign and on the administration, and they're all just cutting and running on him. God, these people are stupid. They're also doing it to Marco Rubio. Fuck Marco Rubio. This is great because the Democrats don't really have anybody for 2028 that's any good, but everybody that the Republicans seem to have thought that they had or whatever they're all getting shit on right now by the president and by the president's fucking allies and shit. Everybody's getting fucked over by MAGA right now, and it's fucking amazing. Here's Jesse Waters. Here's Jesse Waters trying to spin this as anything but what it really is. And this is from his own show, and he himself posted this on his own Twitter. This wasn't like a clip pulled by one of the clippers or whatever, one of the lib clippers. No, he decided he was going to put this out on his own Twitter, him saying the dumbest fucking thing in the world. Check this out.
Greg made such a good point yesterday, and it's maybe with age comes wisdom.
Thank you.
But he really stepped back from this and looked at the big picture. And let's remind everybody what Greg said. We whipped Iran. Their nuke program is dead. The Ayatollah is dead. We basically did it with 12 casualties, God bless them, and no ground troops. And now the United States is the world's leading exporter of energy. And we did it in 3 months. You look at that and you tell any Democrat president over the last 47 years, would you take those results? All of them would say yes. And oil is at the same price it was now than it was before the war. I mean, those are incredible results. But let's get into the details. This is from the document. Iran agreed at a minimum to destroy their enriched uranium on site as we watch.
Pay-per-view
and if
event.
we don't,
It's like your mom making.
and if they don't do it, they don't get any sanctions relief. That's the deal. And they can't even get to the uranium. So even if they leave it at the status quo, which they said it remains at the status quo is that it's dead and buried. You can't enrich what you can't get.
So wait a minute. I thought they were just like a couple weeks away from a bomb just a couple weeks ago. What the fuck? Now they don't have it at all? Like, come on. Well, nobody's buying this. You don't have to be a lib to be like, you could be like the most like MAGA person in the world and be like, well, wait a minute. Wait, just a whole fucking minute here. You told me just a couple weeks ago that they were building a bomb. That they would have it if we didn't do this. Now they couldn't. Now because we blew it up fucking last year or whatever, they can't even get to it. Like, what the fuck? God, this is fucking amazing.
All right, so that's that. The Strait opens, no attacks, no tolls. Now, they put this thing in there at the end of 60 days, Iran and Oman can negotiate with the Saudis and the Kuwaitis over how they're going to deal with the Strait under international law. Well, under international law, you can't toll. And you think the Saudis are agreeing to a toll system? No, that's just to let them feel good about themselves. You keep talking about this $300 billion fund.
Also, like Oman didn't even, so far as I know, Oman didn't even have anything to do with this. And now they get to negotiate about fucking doing a toll for the fucking Strait of Hormuz. You know who won is Oman, right? Because they were definitely minding their own fucking business. And now they're like, what? Wait, we could negotiate for tolls through the Strait of Hormuz now? All right, cool. I think that's where the Houthis are, but the Houthis are like not the government of Oman. Like, oh, Jesus Christ.
They're $1 trillion in the hole. All right. Guess who controls the investment fund? The United States. We issue the license. We issue the sanctions relief. We issue the contracts. Everything that's invested in Iran, we determine whether Iran is investable. And that doesn't happen unless they behave. Now, the vision of the deal is that Iran can...
Oh, I was just corrected. That's Yemen is where the Houthis are. So yeah, Oman didn't even have anything to do with this. It's fucking cool for them. They're like, wait, we could charge a toll now?
Have cash flow, make love, make money, be a normal country, or they can fund terrorism and die. It's their choice. And if they go back to their mischief, we can hit them again with more bombs and blockades and sanctions. If they BS us, we can go back to it. It's no problem. All of these sanctions and all of this unfrozen cash and billions in funds that everybody around the table keeps talking about, it all gets paid if they behave. It's all at the part of the final deal. It's all if they give us the dust. I think we all need to reread it a little bit more closely. And also, while we're at it, did you guys hear that we just signed the EU trade deal? That kind of got buried. That's kind of a big deal. Wow, that just happened. The EU just dropped all their tariffs on us to 0.
You mean like it was before? Like we had more or less free trade with Europe, like prior to this. I'm not a big free trade guy or whatever. I think, tariffs are dumb or whatever, but I'm not like some big free trade guy. That's not even my lane, right? My lane is like media analysis. But it seems like all of this is just kind of like back to where it was, except like the US, like we just fucked ourselves over. Because like, okay, let's say, I don't even know that. So far as I know, there's no provisions in the agreement saying that Iran can't support what these people refer to as terrorist groups. I would say they're more akin to like a militia, or like, if for example, if these people were fighting against Iran, we'd call them freedom fighters, right? So, but what's not going to happen, and I don't think there's any political will, and there's no way that it's going to, I don't think that if things go sideways here, I don't think the Trump administration has like they have the ability, but I don't think they're going to start bombing Iran again, because when they did, it was the worst thing in the world for them. In fact, I think enough Republicans might turn coat on fucking Donald Trump, and he might get thrown out of office if they start bombing Iran again. This is like a disaster. This is like not only a disaster for the people the bombs fell on and for fucking gas prices for people all over the world and stuff, but just politically for the Trump administration, this was a disaster. Just an absolute disaster, because I don't know, bombing countries is bad. Like there wasn't no 9/11 to hide behind on this one, right? There was nothing to hide behind on this. There was no Iran didn't do anything. Again, I don't want to live there. I'm glad I live here. Although things are getting worse here, I'm still way more happy to live in Oakland, California than Tehran, right? But like, for all intents and purposes, they were over there minding their own fucking business. And even like Trump supporters knew that. There's no justification for this. So even Newsmax is going to say it a little more plainly than you might expect. Newsmax is just straight up saying that Donald Trump and the United States lost this conflict. We're the losers. And that's why we're having to give so many concessions. And that's sort of my view.
How frustrating is the fact that we're going to see gas prices go up again? We just spoke to an economist before, and he said, yes, we saw the prices go down because the Strait of Hormuz and the peace deal was reopened. And now it's closed again. He says we could see those prices jump as early as tomorrow morning.
Well, I'm a big supporter of President Trump, but again, sometimes you wonder if we shouldn't have let this war go on a couple more weeks, so it was more apparent who won the war and who lost the war.
I think Iran thinks it is apparent. They're broadcasting to anyone who will listen that they're going into this with the upper hand and with complete authority. So we'll see how that's handled in the negotiations. Congressman Glenn Grothman, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
The guy's like, we lost the war, not for the reason that I think we lost. I think we lost because we shouldn't have done it in the first place. It's hard. You can't really win a war that you shouldn't be in. Right. But this guy thinks that we should have just kept bombing them because, I don't know, that seemed to be going so well for us fucking as time went on, as we were bombing the fucking people. Right. Like nothing tanked the president. Like the president was already pretty unpopular. I think he thought he went in there and it was going to be like sort of how like after 9/11 when W went into Afghanistan, how he had like the full support of like more people than he should have. But like I don't know, for all of W's faults, he's like not Donald Trump. Like, and also like even Iraq, they tried to say it had to do with 9/11, but with Iran, they didn't even have a lie to tell about why they were doing it. They were just I don't know why they were doing it, because they thought, because I think all this happened because Israel was going to start attacking Iran. And I think literally Donald Trump found out about that and was like, oh no, not without me. You're not going to do that. And I think that was what happened. I don't think Israel told him to do it. I don't think Benjamin Netanyahu has that much power. I don't think he was able to do that. I think Donald Trump was just like, oh, hell no, you can't do a war in Iran without me. I swear to you, I think that's what happened. He just was like a little kid. Like when like there's a toy that like a brother or a sister doesn't really play with, but then the other brother or sister starts playing with the toy. Now the brother or sister who isn't playing with the toy is all mad because they want the toy because their sister or their brother has it. Except in this case, it's like dropping bombs on a country. It's like jealousy. Yeah, give that to me. Give that to me. Excuse me, that's my toy. That's my toy. I'm the one who does the war. I'm the one who drops bombs on Iran, not you. I'm the one who does it. It's like that. I think that's what happened. This fucking man with his tiny brain, massive ego, and fucking, I don't know, weird relationship with his daughter was just like, no, I'm the strong man. I'm the strong man. I'm the strong man. It's fucking so fucking dumb. All right, here's JD Vance. I guess the straits, not just Hormuz, the straits are open. Happy Pride Month. The straits are all open for business. Jesus Christ. This is the dumbest fucking thing in the world.
So that's the first part of the negotiation. My understanding, talking to Jared and Steve this morning, is things are going well. But of course, we're going to verify all of this. And that's the thing that, you know, a lot of the criticisms of the deal have really underappreciated, is that the United States has all the cards. The straits are now open. The Iranian military is now destroyed. The Iranians have committed to, of course, destroying that stockpile of enriched material. But we have a lot of economic pressure applied to the Iranians that we would be willing to relieve if they do what we need them to do. If they don't do that, of course, there's no skin off our back. They're still in a much weakened position.
No, they can apply economic pressure to what we refer to as the West. By just, I don't know, putting a bunch of mines in the fucking Strait of Hormuz again. Like, yo, they're the ones able to apply the economic pressure. They just are. The American economy is pretty precarious. We make a lot of, we create a lot of energy, and we make a lot of oil, but we still import oil. And it's not just us. Like, I don't know, China can't get oil and it's our fault, and you piss off China. Well, they're a big trading partner of ours, and they have ways in which they can apply pressure to the United States economically. Like, other countries can't get oil. There are ways they can apply economic pressure to the United States, and it isn't like that they love Iran. It's just like, hey, wait a minute, we're getting oil from them. Excuse the fuck out of you. What are you doing? So none of this. No, this is all bad. Like, I don't know if anybody, I think everyone lost, right? Like Iran, like a bunch of their people are dead, right? Like they didn't win. It's just that we lost too. Like, it's like in Vietnam, did anybody win the Vietnam War? No. At least this wasn't 9 years, I suppose, or 20 years, or however the fuck long Vietnam was. It was like the war on terror in the Middle East. Did anybody win? No. No one won. So here's, I swear to you, we're going to move on to another subject matter soon. Here's Donald Trump he's actually backing away from the idea that because he said, remember, he's like, we're going to go get all their uranium. We're going to get all their fissile material. Now he's backing away from that. And he's going to claim that we actually blew up a whole mountain, like that the mountain fucking collapsed in on itself, because of course that's what he's going to say.
So the Atomic Energy just reported that it was one of the most devastating bombings that they've ever seen. The whole mountain collapsed on top of it. And frankly,
the whole mountain collapsed.
To go get it is a big deal, because they say only China and us have the equipment where you can even get. The whole mountain is collapsed on top. We have cameras on it. You could make the case why you're even bothering, because it's not really valuable. It's, it's probably $500,000 worth. It's not very valuable stuff. But I think.
Yo, listen, we definitely fucked up like one of their facilities, but we didn't collapse a mountain range. Like, listen, the American military probably has the power to do that, which is terrifying. Maybe without even using nuclear weapons, just conventional weapons. We probably have the power to severely alter mountain range to the point where it looks like it collapsed. But that's not what happened. I don't know the extent of the damage. I just know that like a fucking month and a half ago or whatever it was, they said that Iran was fucking going to get a nuclear weapon real soon. And now all of a sudden they can't even dig out their fucking fissile material and it's worthless for us to try to go get it. So again, like why believe any of it? Why would any of it be true? Why would you believe any of this? I think Donald Trump just wanted to play fucking war president or some shit, and it didn't work, and everybody hates him for it now, and that's fucking. I mean, I don't know. I kind of love that for him. So, so the war was a disaster. Which wars are disasters? Wars are bad. The United States hasn't really won any wars since World War II, and it's arguable that the Soviet Union won World War II, but I don't want to get into that right now. But you know what? Was it really a disaster if Donald Trump made money on it? Like if he personally enriched himself and his friends and his family off the war? Was it, can you really call it a disaster? Here's Donald Trump at the G7.
But all I know is every time we talked about the possibility of peace, the stock market shot up like a rocket ship. It never went down. They didn't like it. The people, the stock market is more brilliant than anybody there is, including the people on the stage, other than me, of course. Let's see. I don't know. What do you think, Scott? Is the stock market more brilliant than you?
No, sir.
Oh, that's a terrible statement. All right. The stock market is quite brilliant. And every time we said something amazing, like we're going to settle, it would go up. And every time we said something negative, like, guess what, we're not going to be able to settle, it would go down very big, Peter, very, very big. Tells you something.
Listen, fuck George W. Bush, but so far as we know, he didn't pump and dump a war, right? Like, the war in Iran was horrible. It was one of the worst policy decisions of my lifetime. It was a worse policy decision than this thing in Iran, Iran, just because of like the scale and the amount of like human suffering that happened. But at least they didn't pump and dump the war, so far as I know. Like, not just once. It sounds like he was saying that he pump and dumped the war like 4 or 5 times or something. It's insane, man. It's insane. Like, I think George W. Bush was just wrong. Like horribly wrong. And I think that a lot of racism there was a lot of racism like that drove the attacking Iraq, because a lot of people like didn't like Arabs and Muslims because they didn't like them in the first place. But then 9/11 gave them a reason to fucking not like them. But they didn't pump and dump that war, I don't think. I mean, they might have, but if they did, they certainly fucking shut their fucking mouths about it. I mean, people made money on it. Don't get me wrong. Like, the fucking capitalist class will make money on anything. Human misery, the capitalist class will make money on human misery. But you didn't have the president going to the G7 and bragging about it. Dude, get the whole fuck out of here. Imagine being one of these other people at the G7, like unable to just go punch this guy in the face. Like unable to just be like, leave, right? Good Lord. Good Lord. Did you know it's also wrong to stop the president from doing crypto scams? Here's from Fox Business. This is wild. This stuff is absolutely wild. Here we go.
I mean, look, we're talking about the rewards issue.
That's right.
But that's not the only issue holding this up, right? Democrats want to ban government employees, including the president and his family, from crypto endeavors. The president's not going to back that. We know that. Law enforcement interests are raising objections to some provisions related to money laundering as well.
Right. Yeah, that's true, and we want to take care of the money laundering piece of it. I think we've done a pretty good job of it. Maybe we have to tighten things up a little bit more with regard to the ethics piece of it. One of the things that Democrats are never going to accept, and that is that we have a business person as the president of the United States. He didn't come up through the ranks. He wasn't a state legislator or a bureaucrat or even a member of Congress. They're always going to have extra scrutiny on the Trump family, but we shouldn't not move forward with pro-growth, pro-business policies just because it might benefit the president's family because they're in business. I mean, they're largely in the White House because they're successful business people. So I sort of reject that whole idea that somehow Donald Trump has to be exempt from being successful.
The Democrats in Congress, whatever bill they're putting out is probably fucking useless. Those are pretty feckless people. But the fucking balls to go on fucking TV and be like, what do you mean? The president and his family should totally be able to do crypto scams. I mean, that's not exactly what he said, but that's what he said. So, here we go. This is from this is what appears to be the Jesse Waters show, and they're going to claim that had Kamala Harris won, that the Trump people wouldn't have been protesting or anything, because that the Trump people take election losses really well historically. Jesus Christ, we live in a world where like it just doesn't even matter what happened in the past. Like, there is no history; it doesn't exist anymore. Here you go.
You know what I was thinking about over the weekend with all this happiness with everything going on, and especially at the White House yesterday. If Kamala Harris had won the White House in 2024, how would Republicans have been acting? How would people who voted for Donald Trump been acting? Would they have been protesting anti-American vibes because she was in office? No, because it's not about who's in office. It's about our country. It's so much bigger than that for people on the right, people with sanity, frankly.
Does anybody remember what happened last time Donald Trump lost? We were here. I got up early to cover it. I predicted what happened. I predicted it down to a specific influencer getting tear gassed. They stole a door from the Capitol. It was a big temper tantrum to the extent that they put shit on the walls, like human shit. They didn't even like get dog shit or whatever on the walls. They beat the Capitol Police. I don't know, as ACAB probably includes the Capitol Police, but I assume the Capitol Police's job is mostly if you get lost on your tour of the White House or you get separated from the group, they're like, oh, you're not authorized to be in this area. Are you on a tour? And then they take you back to your tour. Jesus Christ. So here's JD Vance. Did you know that conservative Christians, they know what's in Donald Trump's heart, and that's why they like him. He's not traditionally conservative Christian himself, but they know what's in his heart. They didn't just vote for him because Donald Trump told them that he would go after their enemies or anything like that. They just know what's in his heart. And I'm hoping for a blood clot, but I don't think that's what JD Vance means.
I think the president, he recognizes that some of the people who have been best to him, who have been critical parts of him getting to the presidency now 2 times, arguably 3 times, they were Christians. And it's funny because if you go back to 2016, when you're right, I was criticizing him. One of the things that was very profound was this.
Dude, you literally called him Hitler.
Between religious conservatives and Donald J. Trump. And everybody said, well, they didn't get it. They didn't understand how this, brash New York billionaire could have such connection to Christian conservatives in the heartland. And I actually think if you know the Christian conservatives and you know the president, it's not all that bizarre at all. Because the thing I've always found about Christians in the heartland, whether you agree with their politics, and there's a whole diversity of opinions on a whole host of issues, they're the most welcoming people in the world. They don't judge you based on superficial characteristics. They actually care about what's on the inside. And that's, again, one of the great lessons, one of the great examples of Christianity.
I will tell you, without faith in my life, I don't have a life.
Me neither.
And I believe I've lived an undeserved life in many ways. I think the real prayer, I know the baby's going to be fine. Congratulations.
So this is incorrect. To be a Christian nationalist, you don't have to be a Christian, right? You don't have to believe in our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. All you have to believe in is that Christianity is a means to an end. It is a means to use power to oppress people who are not able to be part of that identity. It's like a white Christian identity, not just white people who are Christian. Most white people who are Christian are just white people who are happen to be Christian. But yeah, like Donald Trump doesn't have to believe in no Jesus Christ to be a white Christian identitarian, or to at least get their support and like cater to their needs, because what they want is for me as a gay person to be oppressed. And Donald Trump, sort of without really doing it, promised them that that's what he was going to do. They want to go after trans people. They want to go after black people. They want to go after education maybe that tells people that this country and the history of like white Christian power in this country hasn't really been a good thing. They want to go after all those people because they want to, it's Christian dominionism. They, what are the seven mountains, right? They want to control the 7 mountains. And Donald Trump told them basically that he was going to take control of those 7 mountains. So it didn't matter to them whether he was cheating on his 3rd wife or fucking his daughter. Well, they probably liked that he fucks his daughter. But like, none of that mattered because he told them that he was going to give them what they wanted by oppressing the people that they hate. So they're really welcoming of you if you tell them that you're going to do that when and if you gain power. And that's what happened. They don't give a fuck whether or not he believes in Jesus Christ. J.D. Vance, lion ass motherfucker. Also, not for nothing, when J.D. Vance said when I was criticizing him in 2016, he literally called him America's Hitler. He was like, oh, that guy's like America's Hitler. I don't think it's 1-to-1 Hitler, but I don't think he was wrong back then either. Like, you can't be exactly Hitler. Like, I don't even know if Donald Trump can grow a mustache. Here we go. We need people to be more American and less European, particularly the Europeans. This is weird. This is about the G7 summit.
That was when he was in the Oval Office with Friedrich Merz, the German chancellor. The fact that he is now engaging with these leaders who basically turned and ran instead of helping him out, it's got to make for some interesting conversation, I would think.
Yeah, undoubtedly. The G7 wants to remain relevant. They want to have a seat at the table, even though they didn't have a seat in helping to destroy the very aggressive Iran that had been attacking everybody. I think the president's probably...
Wait, who did Iran attack? We're back to Iran? Who the fuck did Iran attack?
Tell them, be a little bit more American and less European. If somebody's fighting you and attacking you, have the stones to go out there and hit back instead of run away like what you were doing. And you see this a little bit. You see Italy, I believe, has since signaled that they might send a ship or 2 in there to help deal with some of the minesweeping. But I haven't seen much more since then. Congratulations from Starmer. I think that would be the extent of it.
Yeah, go like, no, they're not, they can't be American. They're European. Like, and if by be American, you mean like just go attack Iran for no fucking reason. Oh, Iran was attacking no, they weren't. Oh, these people will be like, oh, they attacked the Gulf states. It's like, well, yeah, because we have interests there. They attacked our interests in the Gulf states after we attacked them for no reason, I think. I mean, again, you don't got to love Iran, love the Iranian regime. You don't have to think that it's a wonderful place where people are all free and happy and shit to like not want to bomb them. Anyway, here's Douche Bigelow, male gigolo. He has contacted the San Francisco Giants because there was a pride event at the Giants stadium. Now, the background of the story here is that the San Francisco Giants, they just had hats, right? Where usually the SF logo is orange and they had it a rainbow. It was for Pride Night at the Giants stadium. The Giants have been doing Pride Night, I don't even know, fucking 25 years now. Very long time, right? This is San Francisco. If you go fucking play baseball in San Francisco, you can pretty much expect there to be a Pride Night. Well, some of the players had put Bible verses like on their hats, in addition to the hats being a rainbow, and like nothing really happened to them except the owner was like, "Hey guys, you shouldn't do that stuff like that. Like we're just trying to be inclusive here. Don't do stuff like that." They weren't fired, they weren't fined, they weren't sanctioned. Nothing really happened to them. They just got the ownership talked to them. And, these people make a lot of money and they represent a large business, the San Francisco Giants, and, the ownership talked to them. Douche Bigelow thinks that is like the Holocaust.
You have offered to pay the fines of these MLB.
Oh, I guess they were fined.
MLB players, should they be fined?
Nope, they weren't fined. That's right. Should they be fined? Oh, no, there's no fine. They weren't fined. Nothing. The owners just talked to them.
Well, Kaylee, why are they trying to make baseball gay? We have enough gay sports. We have the WNBA. We have figure skating. I mean, cornhole is on ESPN. I mean, every mascot is gay. I mean, that's where the whole furry thing, I think, came from. Not 100% sure about that. Baseball already has all the gay music. We Are the Champions, the YMCA. I mean, at what point is enough? That's what I'm saying.
And Rob, to each their own. People can do what they want to do, live how they want to live. You live in America. But if you're going to force someone to wear a Pride Night hat,
the fucking humanity. It's like when the Hindenburg crashed.
You want to put a Bible verse on there saying what the rainbow means to them. I'm not sure why that's controversial. And I want to ask you specifically about hypocrisy here, because the MLB says these are our uniform rules, but apparently they're selective when they enforce them, because there have been other instances of players writing. For instance, they wrote number 51 on their hats in the 2025 World Series.
Yeah, that's right.
In 2021, they wrote SOS Cuba. And I'm wondering if those players got warnings.
Well, let me tell you,
he's like, I don't know, actually.
For a diversity, equity, and inclusion, unless you have a diversity of opinion, then you're not included in your opinion. So, I mean, basically,
fucking idiot has no idea what he's even trying to say.
Signed up to play baseball. What part of their contract said, oh, you also have to promote our leftist ideology that may be against your religious beliefs? So, I mean,
yeah, that's right. Nobody ever in the history of the world has ever had to do something they didn't agree with at work.
Because they fired the guy from, this is my favorite part, they fired the guy, what's his name, Jaden Ivey, the NBA did. And the NBA had every player had to have on their uniform, experience Abu Dhabi, where homosexuality is illegal.
Jesus Christ. Yo, man. They knew about this. Like this, they didn't just do this. Like I swear to you, the first Pride Night for the Giants might have been before the year 2000. Like they've had Pride Night for the Giants forever. Like, dude, all they did was had to wear a different uniform, and I guarantee you, there's shit in their contract about this, about participating. Like when the team is doing. I don't know what the language would say, but if the team is doing some kind of special event, some kind of charity event or whatever, if there's like the 4th of July night, Celebrate America at the Giant Stadium or whatever, they also have to participate in that. There's all kind of stuff. Yes, they have to participate in all kind of stuff. That's in their contract for sure. Absolutely. And again, all they're doing is making you wear a fucking rainbow on your hat. Somebody in the chat said it might have also been on the uniform. Might have been. I don't know. Not a baseball fan myself. But this is Pride Night at the Giants Stadium. Probably good for business. They're reaching out to a community that traditionally hasn't been a lot of sports fans. The stereotypes about lesbians aside, the LGBT community tends not to be big sports fans. Not that there aren't gay and lesbian and trans people that are big Giants fans. It's just that this is a community that traditionally hasn't been, big sports fans. So they're just reaching out to a community, and it's Pride Month. They're having fun. They're in San Francisco. They're a San Francisco institution. It's they're like Rice-A-Roni, right? And so yeah, they participate in Pride Night, and it's just one night. You're still playing the same baseball game. Nothing else is going on. And all they got was a talking to. And he mentioned other things that baseball players had done. I guarantee you that if it violated their contract or whatever, somebody probably talked to them about that shit too. So that's it. I don't know what to tell these people. I like how he's they were you're going to pay their fines if there is a fine. They're not going to fine them. There's no reason to fine them. They didn't do any. You don't get fined. They just tell you not to do it. It's like any other job, dude. I'm telling you. And again, people have to do shit they don't want to do at work all the time. Yo. So here's Ro Kahana and Maria Bartiromo talking about the SAVE Act. I'm not the biggest fan of Ro Kahana, but he's okay on some stuff. Takes a lot of tech money, though. A lot of tech money.
It's the law. Elections
agree.
have been lost by a couple of votes. So just to say, oh, it's not a lot, that's not an answer, sir.
But people have been fear-mongering that when that's not an issue in the election. And the reality is you have, in cases of women, some of the, in the cases of, in the cases of some people who are married, that you want them, if they've changed their name, to go and have to prove that with their birth certificate to a registrar that they changed
Get
the name.
your birth certificate. What's the yes? That's the law. You can't vote if you're not an American citizen. Yes, get your birth certificate.
And she is mad.
That's exactly right.
No
problem. You know what? I wanted a copy of my birth certificate.
Also, this is on Fox Business, by the way.
I went online. I got the birth certificate. I've got it. It took a week. No problem.
You know, I'm proud of my birth certificate because I'm a bicentennial baby born in Philadelphia, but I don't think people should have to go get their birth certificates and go to the registrar. We have a system that is a system that allows people to vote if they're citizens. And by the way, if you're not a citizen and you vote, you should have enormous penalties, consequences. I'm for making sure that
but we don't
you criminally
know
prosecute
because
people
we don't have
who
are
voting it illegally. That should be the instead of putting the burden on American citizens. Why don't we just make clear that we're enforcing the law? If someone it's illegal to vote, it's a felony to vote if you're undocumented. Enforce the law. Don't have every American who was born here have to go show all their paperwork all the time.
That's the only way to do it. You have to have a citizenship proof. That's the only way to do it. I mean, that's your citizenship proof. It's not on the backs of America. It's your responsibility to ensure that you're doing it lawfully. Look.
All right, so check this out. When I register to vote for in the state of California on their little online thing, I check a box that says I'm a U.S. citizen. But I swear to you that the state of California, or I think it's the county of Alameda, actually, where I register, I swear to you, they have the means to easily, probably in an automated way, check to see, in fact, whether or not I'm a citizen, right? I don't think the Alameda County, California would have a hard time figuring out that I'm a U.S. citizen born in the United States, right? I just don't think that they're going to have a hard time with this. I think that at the point of registration, I think that any county in this country can determine whether or not you are a citizen. Just by like looking up some sort of record or whatever. I'm telling you, this is all bullshit. What he was talking about is like my mom's maiden name is not the same as her married name, right? And she's had her married name since 1970. So I don't know. My dad's one of those guys that keeps paperwork on everything. So they got their marriage license somewhere that has her born name on it. And I'm sure they have their birth certificate somewhere. But even so, like my mom's an old lady. What she got to go through like a filing cabinet and try to figure out like what? No. When she goes to register, they're like, oh, this old lady is a citizen. They know she also votes in Alameda County. And they know that she's a citizen. They have other ways of finding out besides her grabbing some fucking 56-year-old piece of paper to show to them. Like, get the whole fuck out of here. So, you know what's crazy is even the Heritage Foundation, the people that, Project 2025 people, the Heritage Foundation, they know that basically no one is voting illegally. Like people make mistakes. Sometimes people vote in the wrong place for whatever reason. They vote in the wrong county, but those people they usually just don't count those people's votes and like send them a letter because they didn't mean anything. Or there's some people who used to live in a state where felons can vote and maybe now they're in a state where felons can't vote. And so they register to vote and nobody catches it at the point of registration and they vote and then their vote ends up not being counted. I doubt those people get arrested either, right? They just get something in the mail that's like, hey, actually, you can't vote in this state. And they don't know. It's a lot of mistakes. People make mistakes, but if you want to steal an election, having individuals go vote illegally, how the fuck are you going to steal an election like that? How the fuck are you going to do that without somebody snitching on you? It's such a stupid way to try to steal an election. All the election fraud is on the funding side, on the campaign finance side. That's where all the election fraud is. But anyway, here's from News Nation, the land of misfit anchors. Someone on News Nation is even going to point out that even the Heritage Foundation is like, nah.
So you have said that requiring voter ID and proof of citizenship will help secure our elections. But I wanted to point something out because the Heritage Foundation, which of course is a conservative think tank, has dug into this and they found a fraction of a percent of fraudulent voters over nearly 40 years of elections across several states. Doesn't that tell you our elections are already secure?
We know that it varies by state, Marky. Indeed, Tennessee has some of the securest elections and has been ranked number one in election integrity. Every state do what Tennessee has done, which is to show that ID when you go to vote and to make sure you're a citizen when you do register to vote.
Do you think the Heritage Foundation is wrong in their data?
I have not looked at the Heritage Foundation data. What I do know is there are states when they have used the SAVE system at DHS, as 26 states are doing, which you have pointed out, that we have states that have found there are individuals on their voter rolls that are not citizens. And this is the important thing, to make certain that people are not citizens, that they are not voting. And Texas found over 2,700 individuals that were not citizens but were registered to vote. Ohio found a large number, and indeed found, I think it was 160 that had been voting in elections since 2000. The important thing to remember here is that many times elections end up being decided by just a few votes. And if you have a dozen or 24 or even 100 people that are not citizens that are voting, then that doesn't not preserve that one person, one vote integrity that our election system is based on.
And
so some of this, by the way, is when there's states where you can get a driver's license even if you're not a citizen, right? When you go fill out the form for your driver's license or your ID, there's like a checkbox on it. It's like, would you like to register to vote? And I think some people are just like kind of like blowing through the paperwork and just check yeah. And that same information that you entered on your fucking application for your driver's license or your state ID is used to register you to vote. There might be cases where you didn't even check the box and the person at the DMV or whatever was just in a hurry. And since maybe everybody today is registering to vote when they go to get their ID, they fucking check the box on their computer. Like there's any number of reasons why these people might end up on the voter rolls, even if they're, legal residents here without legal status, but can get an ID and they just get entered into the voting roll system. But so she's like, oh, since 2000, 160 people have voted illegally. It's like, since 2000? Do you know how many elections happened? People are like, oh, it's every 4 years. I'm like, no, it's at least every 2. And sometimes there's 2 elections every 2 years, right? There's the primary and then there's the general. So like you're talking like 5 people voting illegally in the whole fucking state every time there's an election. And if they know about it, that means the shit got caught and the votes weren't counted anyway. So what the fuck? What the fuck? These people are so stupid. They just want to prevent people from voting. Women tend to vote for Democrats, and this would make it harder for women because the women, if they have their they get their copy of their birth certificate. Maybe they don't have the original. It's easy enough to get a copy of it. But maybe they don't have their marriage license handy, and that might be a little harder to get a copy of, especially if, like my mother, you got married in 1970, right? And they got married in fucking like Phillipsburg, fucking Pennsylvania or some shit. You think that place? Like, come on, dude. Or was it Allentown? I forget where they got married in some fucking like small town in Pennsylvania, and now they live in the Bay Area. Like, how the fuck is she, if they don't have a copy of it, how the fuck is she going to get that? Like my parents, they have means, they have money, right? So they would have even if they had to fly out there to get it, they could get it. But what about people who don't have means? What about people on fixed income? What about people who are older and disabled, right? What about people who aren't older and are disabled, but they're married and they don't remember exactly where they don't know where their fucking marriage license is. Like, there's other ways to verify somebody's citizenship, and they do it at the point of registration. This is just all fucking so stupid. This has always all been a setup for what's happening right now, where they're claiming that elections are fucking rigged. Spencer Pratt's claiming the election is rigged, although I think that was his plan all along, and I don't want to get off on that right now. I think his plan all along was to fucking lose in the first round and then go on the grift tour, Right, but this is all, they're just all like doing this so that they can try to invalidate elections when they lose by saying that a bunch of people who shouldn't have been voting were voting. That's all this is. It's really dumb. So here we go. We got more on this. The Democrats are telling you that it's not happening because there's no evidence of it, which is like a reasonable position. But I guess like it's a classic conspiratorial thinking, right? When there's no evidence of something, it's either that it isn't happening or that someone's covering it up. There are also cases where there's no evidence of something just because the evidence of something hasn't been found, right? There are new discoveries all the time. People learn new things all the time that they didn't know before. Evidence for things change. Like nobody knew about MK Ultra until it was exposed, et cetera, sure. But until such time as you have evidence for something, you're just claiming that it's happening without evidence. And that's, I generally call that lying. But don't worry. Here's more from Fox News. Or, I'm sorry, Fox Business.
Let's get the ballot in the box and worry about it later and enforce it. Not true. And there are thousands and thousands of cases of people voting in the wrong place at the wrong time. This happens all the time, but the Democrats...
At the wrong time? What do you mean voting at the wrong time?
Tell you it doesn't happen because you can't prove it once the ballot's in the box. That's why election integrity is so important. Let's know who's voting, when they're voting, when they get there. And I'll tell you, Maria, I think you know I went to Honduras as an observer to their elections in a very tiny country with little resources. They require voter ID, they require biometrics, and they require that you prove that you are voting in the right precinct and you're eligible to vote in that precinct. Why can't we do that in the United States of America? The only countries that don't mandate that are places like North Korea, where there really isn't any free voting.
But okay, so the wrong place, you're just making a mistake, right? Let's say like here in the Bay Area, right? Let's say I vote in Milpitas, California, and there's a drop box somewhere in South Fremont. Which the Milpitas would be in Santa Clara County, and South Fremont would be in Alameda County. You see a drop box, you live like right on the border, and you're like, oh, there's a drop box, and you just drop your ballot in that drop box. So you're voting in the wrong place. But you're literally like 2 miles away from or a mile away from a drop box in your county. Hopefully in a good system, somebody in Alameda County would just be like, oh, this is actually a Santa Clara County ballot, and send it off to Santa Clara County. I don't know how that works. I think that happens pretty rarely. But the wrong time, I don't know what that means. What do you mean the wrong time? Like, let's say voting in, can I go back and vote in the 2020 election right now? Is that what they mean? What do you mean the wrong time? Should I not be able to drop my ballot off at 4 a.m. drunk? Is that what they mean? Like the wrong time? What do they mean by the wrong time? Do they mean before election day? I think that's what they mean, right? They mean early voting. They mean mail-in voting where you mail in the ballot or drop it on the drop box like before election day. The idea that there's an election day is fucking stupid. Early voting rules, right? There should be an election week. They also shouldn't be like counting all the ballots and releasing every fucking count of the ballots. It just makes people fucking nervous and conspiratorial. They should just wait till it's all over and announce when they have, each county should announce when they have counted all the ballots. It'd be really upsetting for the news industry, but you know, that is what it is. So here's Representative Brandon Gill. And he's talking about they're kind of running out of stuff now. So he's talking about how they're going to make you wear a burqa in school, which is a little weird. But, you know, they're going to make you wear a burqa in school.
And you've seen what's happened in the DFW Metroplex, where you've seen mass Islamic migration transforming communities right here in places that you wouldn't otherwise expect. And again, this is something that if we don't stop now, it's going to be my daughter and daughters across the country who are going to be going to public schools wearing burqas. And that's the kind of stuff that we want to stop. We want to recognize that our job is to protect and conserve as conservatives. We should want to conserve the America that we got to grow up in. And you do not do that by bringing in cultures who have very different ideas about freedom of speech, religion, separation of church and state, the dignity of women, the role of women in public life, who have very different conceptions about how Muslims and non-Muslims interact. And those different ideas matter. And this is a good example of that.
All right, Congressman Brandon Gill, always good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
I don't know about the America that I grew up in. This guy looks like he's about my age, maybe even a little younger. The America I grew up in was a multicultural America. I grew up in Fremont, California, a pretty large suburb of San Francisco, California. there was a lot of different people in the school that I went to. There was a lot of white kids, South Bay sort of area of the Bay Area has fewer black people, but there were black kids there. There were a lot of Latino kids there. I think we called them Hispanic back then. There were a lot of Indian kids, a lot of Arab kids, a lot of Asian kids. There were just all different kind of kids, actually. That's the America I grew up in. What is this guy talking about? He's talking about Dallas-Fort Worth, too. Dallas-Fort Worth, it isn't some deep in the heart of Texas fucking country ass place. It's a big fucking city. It's a big cosmopolitan city, again, with a lot of different kinds of people, a lot of different culture there. So I don't know what this motherfucker is talking about. Like, no, Dallas-Fort Worth isn't like a fucking down home country fucking place. It's a big fucking city. What is he talking about? Good Lord. Good Lord. So this next clip is the most surprising thing that happened this week. None of the other shit that happened this week was that surprising, right? Nothing was surprising except for one Hillary Clinton. And I'm just gonna let this one ride. I did not. This was not on my what I thought was going to happen this week at all.
Well, you're absolutely right. When I was secretary, it was a constant, theme by Netanyahu and his then government, the then defense minister Ehud Barak, the former prime minister. Mm-hmm. It was relentless. It was a constant push. I remember.
What would he say to you?
What?
What would he say to you?
He would basically say, you need to support us in attacking Iran. And back then, this was, 2009 to the end of 2012, we had more capacity than Israel did on several fronts to do that. And so there was a constant argument that we would have. And I remember one day I was on the phone for hours with Ehud, with Bibi, with others, and they would say things like, our planes are on the tarmac. And I'd say, well, good luck. I mean, great. Why are you doing this?
Where else would planes be other than in the air?
But on the tarmac, ready to take off. Yes. Well, no, they'd be in the hangar, but they were on the tarmac. And you would say things.
So you're saying you were being played
all the time, all the time. I mean,
by an ally that receives an enormous amount of aid.
Well, of course. And look, Bibi's been obsessed.
So make no mistake, I don't think that if the wind was blowing the other way, she'd have come out and said something like this. But now that the wind's blowing this way, she is like, well, I'm going to go where the wind's blowing. And I'm going to be like, well, they were trying to get us to attack Iran. I think she was probably for it. You don't got to love Barack Obama or whatever. I don't think Barack Obama was into that shit, right? Barack Obama kind of ran on the war on terror being a disaster. Then he continued the war on terror. But I don't think Barack Obama had the desire personally, or he thought he had the political capital to start a war with Iran. But now that the wind's blowing this way, and not just most of the Democratic Party, most of the United States now has a negative opinion of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, who she calls Bibi, which is a term of endearment that people should not be using when discussing other foreign leaders. She should be calling him Mr. Netanyahu or Prime Minister Netanyahu. Now the wind's blowing that way. She's like going the way the wind's blowing, and that must mean she thinks the wind is blowing pretty fucking hard in that direction. Otherwise, she would still be going against the wind on this shit, because she probably, like people in chat were saying, she probably kind of liked the idea. But now that the wind's blowing that way and it's blowing hard enough, she's like, I'm going to go where the wind's blowing. And that's kind of a big fucking deal. I did not expect that. I thought she was either not going to say anything about it, or if she did, she was going to be like, oh, pull this, they're our greatest ally bullshit. But instead, she was like, they were trying to convince us to go to war with Iran, which I believe. I just don't believe that she was the one in the administration who was against it. But again, the fact that the wind's blowing hard enough that it's blowing her away from this unflinching and uncritical support of Israel means that wind is blowing pretty hard, and things are going to change as far as the United States' relationship with Israel. in the next administration. I think even if it's a Republican administration, it's likely that things are going to change in a pretty dramatic way. And, you don't got to love Hillary Clinton. We certainly don't. We wish she would have run a better campaign, and I wish she would have won. Well, in 2016, she did get more votes than her opponent, but you don't got to love her to understand that she's kind of a bellwether for the establishment, and that the establishment in the Democratic Party is starting to know which way the wind is blowing. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm not, I don't have a crystal ball here, and I understand that the chat is like, nah, and that's fine. That's fine. Y'all aren't really here for my, for my world news coverage anyway. Here we go. I don't give one fuck about the World Cup, but friends, this right here, this is a former Minister of Parliament from the UK. Friends, this ain't it.
England won the football last night, and thank goodness they did, because on the occasions that England lose their football matches, the incidences of domestic violence go through the roof. So, boys, keep winning. I got nothing. I mean, I think that there's nothing I could say that's really gonna like add an exclamation point or a period or any punctuation to how fucking awful what that lady just said is. I don't think I really have to fucking make any commentary on that or anything. Yeah, I don't think I have to make any commentary there. I think that sort of speaks for itself. I don't know. Don't abuse your partners. All right, here's Stephen Miller. I only got one clip of people hating on James Tallarico this week. I could have looked for more, but it's just like, now that's just part of the water we're swimming in or whatever. Here's Stephen Miller talking about James Tallarico. Good fucking Lord.
Stephen Miller, you want to take a shot at what the six genders might be, or how God is non-binary, or the advocacy for trans men to have a right to abortion? Would you like to handle any of those three?
All I can say about Tallarico is that Texas is not going to elect an individual. I can't call him a man. Who knows what gender he is? But they're not going to elect.
He's a man.
An individual, an entity who has said the things that he loves most in the whole world are trans children. He's a weird, strange, bizarre, totally unelectable human. ever going to be the senator from the state of Texas.
Man, they're having such a hard time with this guy. Oh, God, they're having such a hard time with this guy. Because he's like a young, good-looking guy, a fucking pastor. I don't know. So far as we know, he hasn't fucking fucked with anybody. He hasn't fucking hit on any of his staff or fucked any of his staff. Like, so far as we know, there's nothing. There's nothing. He isn't really gay. He's got a girlfriend, a more or less age appropriate girlfriend. He's in his 30s, so is she, and she's beautiful. Like they got nothing. Like they got nothing on this guy, so they're just gonna keep fucking flailing and treading water trying to go after this guy. Now, I think people are a little more optimistic about him winning in Texas than they ought to be. That reminds me a little bit of when Beto O'Rourke ran against Ted Cruz. I do think that he has a little better chance, but not because of anything about him, but because people hate Ken Paxton. Because Ken Paxton is just the most corrupt motherfucker in the world. And there's a lot of people like that just, they're not going to go turn and vote for Tallarico. They're just not going to come out for Ken Paxton. And so it's all about whether or not Tallarico can get out the vote in the cities, and we'll see. We'll see. I'm not optimistic, but I think it's, it's not out of the question. It's not out of the question, and I am rooting for him, especially because these people are so mad. These people are so mad. That's mostly what I want. I know that that's like kind of MAGA coded and whatever. It's like, oh, are you triggered, Lib? But I don't know. They're mad at him for, and that's where I lose the thread. Actually, he's a nice person who doesn't want to discriminate against other people, so far as I can tell. Treats other people with respect. Super well spoken. Won graciously, even in a contentious primary. I can't see. I don't understand why they're mad at him. They're trying to turn him gay, and he doesn't care. He's like, I don't know. He's like, I'm not gay, but like it's fucking amazing. It's fucking amazing. They just they just don't like this guy. Fucking rules. Anyway, we're getting kind of close to the end here. I think we're going to come in under 2 hours this week. We got Ron Johnson. Here's Ron Johnson on Real America's Voice. I think this is Bannon's network. And he's anti-vaccine, but he doesn't have any of the talking points handy. Most of the anti-vaxxers, they could spit out 5 minutes of fucking talking points without even thinking about it. But this guy, Ron Johnson, he ain't even got the talking points handy.
A shot that they got in their arm. How did we get to a point where medicine is willing to play a game of Russian roulette with all of our healths?
Well, roulette, as the French would say.
We need to return integrity to science, and right now science does not have integrity. We held a hearing on the corruption of scientific publication and research. You've got people attacking anybody who is going to publish a study contrary to the narrative or contrary to the product they might have. So peer review is a joke. Publications like PubPeer, the people call it Pub Smear. We're seeing it time and time again of valid scientific research that's been just pulled, either retracted or removed. Even worse, looking right now into a study that was removed linking SIDS potentially to vaccines. And it's just a very simple analysis looking at VAERS and
VAERS, like where the vaccine makes you walk backwards on your hands.
About 78% of the SIDS deaths reported on VAERS since the start of VAERS, 2,600 VAERS deaths or child deaths. 78% occurred within, I think, 3 weeks. 58% within 3 days. I mean, I shouldn't even be crying the stats because I just read it, but there's a strong correlation there, and that study got removed. So don't quote me on the stats because I just literally read them about a half hour ago.
Oh man, VAERS, like if you're in our chat and you go bang or exclamation point VAERS, yeah, you get a list of like the dumbest things on VAERS. And like at first it started out with anti-vaxxers lying on there, right? They'd lie, oh, my brother, my cousin, and this happened to me. And then a bunch of trolls went on there and they were like, oh yeah, well, the vaccine killed me and I'm dead now. Or the vaccine, my wife left me after she got a vaccine, or I walk backwards on my hands because of the vaccine, or it turned me into a Santa Claus, or all kind of stuff. So VAERS is like unreliable, and it kind of sucks actually, because VAERS is like the idea was really good. The idea was to like allow the public and medical professionals and whatever to put their experiences in there so that people doing research or whatever and public health officials might be able to spot trends if something happens, right? Because no system is perfect. Medicine isn't perfect. There's no reason to believe every vaccine ever will always be perfect. But now you can't spot trends on there. The thing has become useless as a result of anti-vaxxers, and not to say that like it's just the anti-vaxxers. It's people like me, people that be making fun of anti-vaxxers. I've never put a false report into VAERS, but if you put a false report into VAERS that said that you got a vaccine and now your Honda Civic only goes in reverse or whatever, if you put that on there, like you're part of the problem, but also that's very funny. So here's RFK Jr. I got a couple hits of RFK Jr. Here's one of him lying about autism again. It's not great what he's saying here. It's also not true about autism and whether or not you can get a job.
These are children who should not be suffering like this. These are kids who, many of them were fully functional and regressed because of some environmental exposure into autism when they're 2 years old. And these are kids who will never pay taxes. They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball. They'll never write a poem. They'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted. And we have to recognize we are doing this to our children, and we need to put an end to it.
That's not what autism is. Most people with autism are fully, they can do all that. They're just their brain works a little different than mine or yours does. That's it. And I think a lot of people that watch this channel and listen to my podcast are autistic, and you're fine. You know, you're different than me in some ways, and the same as me in many, many other ways. That it's just like a different way that your brain works, and the way this guy talks about it is fucking eugenics. He talks about it in a very eugenicist way, which shouldn't surprise anybody. Actually, the anti-vaccine movement has always been a eugenics movement from the very beginning. All this Maha stuff is like, at the very least, soft eugenics, and I would suggest to you that it's the eugenics going on isn't as soft as maybe other people would say it is. I think it's maybe a little more overt, a little harder eugenics, I suppose. I don't know if that's quite the right phrasing, but I think it's all eugenics shit. And if you're listening to this and you are a person with autism, or if you're autistic, however I'm supposed to say that, you good, baby. Go get that job. Go on that date. Write that poem. Because why wouldn't you? So here he is. Here's RFK Jr. towing the Scientology line on gun violence.
I'll answer the question, the firearms question. We're doing research. You know, the firearms question is a complex question, and it's not an easy question. The violence is what we're concerned with. This sudden onset of violence that began in the 1990s, where people would do something that has never been happened in history, which is somebody walks into a school or a church or a theater and starts shooting strangers. We had lots of guns when we were kids. We had comparably the same number of guns. Nobody was doing that. We had gun clubs at my school. Kids brought guns to school and were encouraged to do so. And nobody was walking into schools and shooting people. So, and this is not happening in other countries. Switzerland has a comparable number of guns as we do, and the last mass shooting they had was 23 years ago. We're having mass shootings every 23 hours. Oh, there are many, many things that happened in the 1990s that could explain these. One is the dependence on psychiatric drugs, which is, in our country, is unlike any other country in the world. It could be, there could be connections with video games, with social media. There are a number of things, and we are looking at that at NIH. So we are doing studies now. We're initiating studies to look at the correlation and the connection, potential connection, between over-medicating our kids and this violence, and these other possible co-founders as well.
So the audio on that was really bad. He's hard to understand in the first place, but it seems like maybe whoever was recording that was doing it with their cell phone, and their cell phone was having problems, or maybe there was problems with the sound system at the venue. But that aside, there's a couple of things he was saying there is wrong. One, like in Switzerland, yeah, they have a lot of guns, but their gun control laws are pretty strict. A lot of people, sure, they technically own a gun, but their gun is stored in an armory. You're not allowed to have ammo at home, like somebody was saying in the chat. Like, just because they got a lot of guns don't mean they don't got a lot of gun control there. And then what he was saying about the antidepressants, SSRI drugs, psychiatric medication, that's straight out of CCHR, that's Citizens Commission on Human Rights, a Scientology front group. I would not be the least bit surprised if he was getting his information on this matter from that group. I don't know whether or not he might know that those are people who worship a space alien, but that is where that talking point comes from. It's cited over and over and over and over again. And people don't know what CCHR is. You go on to, and I think InfoWars is down now, and I don't know if the new Alex Jones site is still there, but if you, back in the day, you would go on there and you would type CCHR into the search bar, and you would find dozens, possibly hundreds of results for CCHR being cited as a source. So a lot of these people talking about gun violence and antidepressant drugs are getting their information from a space alien cult. So these people, like, if they're, because there's some people, and this is Kelly Victory and Dr. Drew, who aren't like particularly like right-wing political. They're right-wingers, right? But they're not into like this right-wing. They're not, they do a little culture war stuff, but they got real big on this COVID stuff, like during COVID, and they're kind of running out of stuff to talk about now because they don't want to have any opinion about the war in Iran, for example. They don't want to alienate half of their audience or whatever. So they're just going back to Playin. the hits. And here's Dr. Drew and someone who calls themselves Kelly Victory.
To this issue of people arguing there was no mandate. The reality is we codified this in the Nuremberg Code after the Second World War based on atrocities that occurred there under the name of medicine and science. And specifically, the Nuremberg Code says you may not mandate, coerce, or otherwise, by fear of reprisal, compel someone to participate in a medical experiment. In other words, it doesn't have to be an actual written mandate. In many cases it was, but it doesn't have to be an actual written mandate. If you say to somebody, you're going to lose your job, or you can't travel, you won't be able to go to school, you'll lose your military pension, and on and on and on. That is fear of reprisal. That is coercion. And that is clearly it was a gross violation of the Nuremberg Code, in addition to medical ethics in general.
So first of all, like the vaccines are not an experiment. Also, the Nuremberg Code isn't really a law, but more importantly, that vaccine, it's not an experiment. Also, I don't know, like I had to show my vaccine stuff to get into DNA Lounge, the first gig that I played back after everybody was allowed back out. Everybody was masked up and they had to be vaccinated at the DNA Lounge. It was my first gig back. It was a lot of fun. I was really glad to play. It was a little uncomfortable as things got warmer in there with the mask on and whatever. I'm not sure how much good the masks did in there because a lot of people, they were drinking and stuff, but whatever. The vaccines did a lot of good in there. What are they going to take the door person from the fucking DNA Lounge in San Francisco and haul him out in front of the Hague for breaking the Nuremberg Code? Get the fuck out of here. Get the whole fuck out of here. Get out of here. So here's more. Here is from 24 Medico. This is MD Breathe is visiting the HHS to submit a formal petition calling on the FDA to make ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine available over the counter. Oh man, they're playing. These sort of people that were just anti-vax and didn't want to go too hard into the right-wing politics or the sort of what we would generally previously called right-wing politics. Man, they're just running out of stuff. And so I don't know, they got to talk about ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Simone Gold. I'm here with my good friend, Dr. Bowden. We are here standing at the Department of Health and Human Services, which oversees the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. And we're here for a really important reason. And I'll let Dr. Bowden explain. We're presenting a petition to the FDA to make ivermectin over the counter. During the pandemic, we actually sued the FDA over the misinformation they spread. We won that lawsuit and they were forced to remove that misinformation, but it's still very difficult for the average American to get ivermectin. People are buying it from the feed stores. They're ordering it from overseas. It's completely unnecessary. It's a very safe drug. It's safer than Tylenol. It's safer than most antibiotics. It needs to be over the counter so more people can access this very safe and time-tested medication. Right. So this is a citizen petition which America's Frontline Doctors gave to the FDA during the pandemic in October 2020. And in 2022, the FDA turned it down. And we are refiling it with more information. As Dr. Bowden pointed out, it's very, very safe. If those of you don't know, it actually won the Nobel Prize in Medicine, which is, amazing.
So a drug doesn't win the Nobel Prize. A person or a group of people wins the Nobel Prize.
And we know that patients are being restricted from its use. There are now several states that have made it over the counter. There are 4 states that have it over the counter: Arkansas, Idaho, Tennessee, and Louisiana. But even in those states, people are saying it's still difficult to get the medication. So the best.
Oh yeah, because if it's legal, because if it's not legal federally and it's legal in the state, the person giving it to you is still breaking the law, and they're criminally and civilly liable.
Is for the FDA to just make it over the counter. The FDA should also put out a public statement saying that ivermectin is safe. It is not just for horses, and would just help rebrand ivermectin after the damage they did during the pandemic. And in addition, we are also filing a citizen petition for hydroxychloroquine may be made over the counter. Hydroxychloroquine is over the counter in most of the world. One of the only places it isn't over the counter is America and other first world nations, which is an interesting backstory of itself. But we believe that the FDA should be making these safe, generic, cheap, easy to use medications over the counter. We don't want to see doctors become the choke point. We don't want to see pharmacies become the choke point. So we're fighting for patients, right? We're fighting for patients. Exactly. So we're going to do it. Dr. Bowden, myself, America's Frontline Doctors, we are going to the FDA and we're filing the citizen petition to make ivermectin over the counter and hydroxychloroquine over the counter, right? Your patients need the help as you do. Thank you for your work. Thank you.
So the people who developed ivermectin got a Nobel Prize because ivermectin all but eradicated river blindness, which is a parasite, a parasitic infection. And that's good, actually. And like all this weird shit going on around ivermectin is bad for like there's another reason. Like, let's say you have an infection, you have a parasitic infection. And you are prescribed ivermectin by your doctor. Rare circumstances where that might be the case. You might get a parasitic infection where ivermectin is a thing that you would be prescribed. And then because of all this shit going on around it, you might question your doctor. If you've been exposed to all this media stuff, you're like, well, isn't that like a horse dewormer? And then your doctor, hopefully your doctor would be patient and be like, well, there was a lot of stuff about that. And that's how it's used in veterinary stuff. But for certain parasites, it's a very effective drug and we'd like you to use it. And then you're still skeptical. And maybe there's another anti-parasitic that you've never heard of that you could be prescribed or whatever. And that's like really bad too. But it's just, you shouldn't just be buying and taking medication because you were told to do it by a podcaster. That's the worst part about all this. Like, these aren't good things. This isn't like a Flintstones vitamin, right? People still are. They're taking ivermectin like as if it's like a vitamin C supplement or something that you take every morning. They're using it like it's a vitamin supplement, and that's really not good for you. Like, you shouldn't be taking anything unless like you need it. Even most supplements, you shouldn't be taking them. Supplements are usually bullshit. You get most of what you need from food. So we got 2 more clips before we go into red light, and it's Pride Month, everybody. And friends, the vibes are pretty whack this Pride Month. I'm not going to lie. And I don't have like a feel good story about Pride for you at all. Instead, this comes from one of our favorite accounts on now on Blue Sky, but also on X, the Everything app. This is Christian Nightmares, and here you go. Here's for Pride Month. Happy Pride.
Say rainbow. Rainbow? Yeah. The rainbow is the covenant sign of God's great promise to all of his creation that he'll never flood the earth again. What's interesting is that Satan is trying to redefine God's covenant rainbow as human pride in something that's inherently sinful. So when we see a rainbow hanging outside of a
little baby's hella mad. Baby's like, nah, throwing her headband and shit. Baby's like, fuck this.
Don't let it remind you of human pride, but let it remind you of God's great faithfulness and how much he loves you, how much he is for you. Can you give Daddy a kiss? Mwah. Can you say rainbow? Yeah.
Yeah, the vibes are bad this Pride. Real bad vibes. Man, leave that kid alone, dude. What the fuck? At least the kid's not really old enough to understand what you're saying, but eventually that kid will learn and then have to unlearn all this bullshit, or at least hopefully unlearn all this bullshit. Last, this is Y Combinator's Gary Tran. He says he wants his new Project G-Brain to be the Postgres for agents, and we should yeet these people into the sun. This is some fucking AI bullshit. I hate this stuff. I hate it so much. I hate all these people. And they should all go to the sun.
GStack was sort of my project from like January through March. I'm still maintaining it and fixing it. But like my new thing is Gbrain, which I actually want it to be like the Postgres for agents. Okay. So the thing I realized is that like, when an agent, a human can only keep like 7 plus or minus 3 things in their head, right? Like a phone number is about it, right?
And that's generous.
But yeah,
I can keep hundreds of things, but yes, I understand.
That's very nice. Some of us are special. John, you're very special. But a computer with an LLM, it can keep about 3 Harry Potter books in their head. And so
it doesn't sound that impressive when you say it that way.
I mean, it's like a stack of
No,
books.
I
It's
understand.
like
It's just way better when you say like it can contain like 75 air dish problems or like some complex math. But Harry Potter, I'm like, but yes, I understand. The context window is significant and
It's
especially when
amazing.
compared to a human. Yeah.
And then when you think about like what most computer systems are, like actually you should think of like the Library of Alexandria, right? Like thousands of books, tens of maybe millions of books. Like actually it's even bigger than that. It's like the whole internet, right?
Yeah. So the Library of Alexandria burned down.
And then
which wait, hold on. Okay, cool. I actually agree with him that these computer systems, that this AI shit is like the Library of Alexandria. It's the first thing he said that I agree with.
Knowledge wikis are. People are talking about company brains.
Yeah.
Like you could basically take all of the relevant info about customers and everything that you've ever, any person that like any one of the companies ever even met. Like that's what a CRM is.
Yeah.
You can have that in like 100,000 or 1 million markdown files that like comprises everything that business is.
Yeah.
So that's basically what GBrain can do.
Yeah,
It's
I think
like
people
figuring out
misunderstand
what
that like YC has been building software to help batch participating companies for over a decade at this point, I think. Probably longer, maybe 15 years. And so that is in the
we're
lineage.
building that in.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, actually, I think, now we have all these tools that are going to be built directly into YC Bookface. So, you're going to want to be a part of the community.
Yeah, I've been seeing it's been getting better. Like the
Bookface.
pace of software development on Bookface and YC's internal tools is accelerating. It's been
Look at that guy on the right. Like, he wants one of them fucking, that's like a nicotine pouch. He wants one of them nicotine pouches hella bad.
People often have a window into it and they say like, oh, there's this demo, but there is an internal product that is evolving and getting better, which is great.
So the magic moment for GBrain is basically like being able to take any book that exists in your entire business and then making sure the 3 books that really matter for the thing you're trying to do are loaded.
Yeah.
And then that's basically ASI. Like you don't have to write software anymore. You can just straight up use Hermes Agent or OpenClaw plus this. I am trying to make it work with a Codex and, CoWork, but honestly, I think that those are like Hondas. And honestly, I mean, OpenClaw is still the Ferrari, man.
Okay.
It's still the Ferrari, but
OpenClaw, that's good. Cisco, critical infrastructure for the AI era.
Oh my fucking God. Oh no. Oh, Jesus Christ. I hate those people so much, but I do appreciate that the guy like on the right had this like little container of Zyn that he probably had 2 or 3 of them fucking things in his mouth, and he was held jonesing to stick another one in his mouth. All these fucking AI companies have all these nicotine pouches and shit, just a giant pile of them in the lobby, and they're like, here, just I don't know, get the fuck out on this stuff, and fucking I don't even know what they do with these AI companies. Smell your own farts or fucking who knows, man, who knows. This is all fucking bad. I'm so glad I'm not actually covering this stuff in any sort of meaningful way. I will say, if you're looking for good coverage on this stuff, better offline at Zitron. Also, Tech Won't Save Us is another good podcast, another good resource for this stuff. And not always, but we don't got a problem with their. Taylor Lorenz has a lot of interesting things to say about AI, the build out of AI data centers, and the stupid ways in which the government is trying to regulate it so that these AI companies can actually just collect all of your data while they're supposed to be being regulated by the government and protecting the children or what the fuck ever. That's not my beat, but there are a lot of good people on that beat that you should check out. And that's the podcast part of the show. We got in just under 2 hours, although when the song is over, it'll have been over 2 hours. So that's just a curse that we have to live with. It is our cross to bear. Our rainbow of Christianity and Pride Month to bear. So if you got this far when you're listening on the podcast or whatever, check us out live sometime at twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. Become a patron at patreon.com/Echoplex, or even better, become a member at eplex.store. You can grab some merch there today. Like somebody picked up several tinfoil hats this morning, and you can be like them and have a tinfoil hat, be like me. And with that, we're going to go into the post game. We're going to go into red light. If you're watching live, you know the drill. Stick around. I'm going to change the color of the lights in the room and change the contents of my beverages. This is my beverage, not beverages. Well, probably beverages. This is Boomers by Periscope, and I'll see everybody in a couple minutes.